Welcome everyone to Progressive Discussions. This is a special alpha male edition of Progressive Discussions. I am your host, James P. Madonna, and I will be joined later on by my co-host, Damian Owens. Now, I just want to thank Damian Owens for a fantastic debut show late last night for the new Facebook page, New Age Mysticism and Healing. It was fantastic. He did an explanation of the tarot cards. In part one, it was about the major arcana of the 78 card tarot deck. Yes, 78 cards, not 58 cards. And I also used my trusty copper divining rods, and he did a reading for a young lady named Gemma, a tarot reading. It went very well. It was a short reading, but it went well. I want to start off with the alpha male segment. It's called The Hypocritical Double Standards of Feminism and How They Destroyed Traditional Heterosexual Relationships that have been working quite well for perhaps tens of thousands of years. Well, they destroyed it by influencing neoliberal politicians into passing ridiculous laws that are based on the hatred of men. Now, with these feminists, they want equal pay for equal work, which is fair. I have no problem with that, if in fact the woman is capable of doing the same job as a man in any given field. I'm all for it. Equal pay for equal work. If they can do it on their own without asking any men for help. Now, if they do that, fine. That's great. But they want their cake and eat it too. When it comes to the social life, family life, they want special treatment, just like all lobbying groups today that get the neoliberals to pander to them for votes. They get these laws passed. They still expect the man to do everything, pay for everything. If they have a child and decide, of course, today nobody really gets abortions. They all decide to keep the baby, like that stupid old Madonna song about she wants to keep the baby so they can ride the gravy train and be home, uh, taking care of the kids or kid, whether the man is with them or not, whether they get married or not. But now women choose to be single mothers and career women at the same time, uh, at the peak of their biological childbearing age. They decide to do both because the feminists made homemakers feel guilty. They laid a big guilt trip on homemakers, um, uh, making them feel bad that they're a homemaker, that they chose to be a homemaker. So they get the guy to pay the father. They don't ask him if he wants to be a parent. No, they don't do that. The judicial system pretty much throws the book at them. Once a woman gets a lawyer, they can take a man to the cleaners, to the poorhouse. Uh, my brother is going through a similar situation because he still has one child that is a minor. So even though, you know, he owns his own business and his wife that does absolutely nothing for him. She is as useless as balls on a pope. She doesn't cook for him. She doesn't do laundry for him. She doesn't even really want to shop. He has to come home after a long, hard day's work running an auto body garage, and he finds no dinner. He finds no laundry done. And why does she have all this power? Because she has one child that's still a minor. The other one turned 18. And she holds it over his head. Now, yes, when it comes to dating, when it comes to relationships, these so-called feminist women of equality want the man to do everything, pay for everything, make the first move, because in society, the person who invites, the person who initiates the invitation is supposed to pay. So that's why women don't ask men out on a date, because they have alligator arms. Like, you ever see a skink, which is a lizard with short arms? They have alligator arms. They have short arms and deep pockets, which means they're cheap fucks, is what they are. They're cheap bastards. They want the man to do everything. So they want their cake and eat it. Now, why do they get their cake and eat it? Well, there's a lot of very Johnny Ringo, Papa Don't Preach by Madonna. There you go. There you go, Johnny Ringo. Now, why do they get their cake and eat it? Well, because of all the desperate, thirsty beta men that chase their ass and constantly hit on them left and right and slobber over them like desperate fools. They build their ego up. This is how these women, these feminists, modern women of today get all their power, because men do not boycott them. It's really, if a woman is really interested in a man, she will let you know it. It's quite obvious when they come on to you, really. They will place themselves in your proximity and they will bust a move. And that's, I mean, you're just spinning your wheels, guys, like a hamster on an exercise wheel, going around and around, trying to hit on women constantly, shopping, bars, nightclubs. It's a waste of time. They will let you know without a shadow of a doubt if they're really interested in you. So there's no need to be chasing them and blowing up their egos. Now, this is why the women have power. This is why they don't bother to ask men on a date, is because men are always like crawling up their rectum, constantly, and all kinds of men, ugly men, average looking men, good looking men. Well, good looking men really are play the alpha role, a smart, good looking man. Now, this is the hypocrisy of what's going on today. So men give these women their power, and then you have all of a sudden you have all these gold diggers out there. They're all over the place like cockroaches. If you go on Tinder, if you happen to download on the Tinder app, there seems to be a pattern. Now, I was discussing this issue with a good friend of mine, Anthony. There seems to be a pattern on Tinder where all of the younger, they don't have to be gorgeous, they don't have to be perfect 10. The younger, decent looking, let's just say, or cute women of color always have in the first sentence of their Tinder profile, I'm looking for a sugar daddy to spoil me and take care of me and show me the finer things in life and possibly take me around the world. Or they have lofty ambitions, but no hookups. So they think that these rich older men are stupid fools, that they think they're trying to get something for nothing. So they think that these rich older men are going to devote themselves to them and take care of them and spend all this vast amount of money for nothing. Rich men do not get rich or stay rich by being stupid. Believe me. Now, they can play the game, and if they have money, they can be the sugar daddy, and they can get laid, and they can bang them left and right if they choose to, and then dump them, and then the girl will find out the hard way. So there is this materialism that is running rampant today, which doesn't surprise me because, modern day society in capitalism has become this way, because capitalism has created a very materialistic society, and women are obsessed with a man's money, even though they brag about being career women and they want to be entrepreneurs. That's the new favorite word on dating apps. I'm an entrepreneur. I think they just like to say the word entrepreneur. And they're a career woman. They want it all, but that it doesn't include a man. So they're very independent, but at the same time, they size the man up for his income and his money. They might look at what kind of car he drives. They're very nitpicky. So my question to one of them was, because I don't have any patience or tolerance to debate with girls that are dumber than a bag of rocks. My question is, you want all of these things. You have this delusion that a wealthy older man is this stupid. What do you bring to the table? Let us analyze that. And they honestly, they start stuttering and stammering like Ralph Cramden on The Honeymooners. Humana. They really don't know what to say, or they might say something stupid like, "Well, I'm worth it. I'm hot looking. You're worth it. You're hot looking because you're basing it on your appearance to land the biggest sales commission that life can ever offer you, and that is marrying into money." Okay, you're using your looks to get somebody to take care of you, not necessarily real love, not necessarily someone that is going to be loyal to you. They might have 1,001 mistresses on the side. If you're after some arrogant asshole guy with big bucks, they might very, very well will have plenty of women on the side. So how do you really know? Alex the Beer Master, how are you, sir? Alex the Beer Master is here, and Mr. Damian Owens will be on, and we're going to be talking politics later. Good to have you. Good to have you and Johnny Ringo. Uh, I like the word Johnny Ringo. Sounds like a gunslinger from the Wild Wild West. I can picture him in that. What was that movie? Oh man, oh, it's at the tip of my tongue. But a really good western. So anyway, they want their cake and eat it. They get it. They get their cake and eat it. They have all their power because thirsty men keep on giving it to them because men pretty much, if they don't have a life and there's not too much going on in their life, then they're going to place their happiness on another person. Another person should not be responsible for their happiness. Just like if you're in a relationship, a woman will eventually, at the beginning, they're sweet, they're loving, they're flirtatious, they're passionate. Then after a while, they start complaining. They all do. And, they might say, well, I'm not happy. Well, you know what? Go see a shrink. Go find yourself a good shrink. You're not happy. A man is not responsible for your happiness. And the only thing a man is obligated to do is die and pay taxes. And if he's rich, he has really good lawyers that know how to hide his money. And that includes hide money from a parasitic wife or soon to be ex-wife that is after his money. He can hide even child support money if he has the right lawyers. What's going on, Alex? He is a fellow New Jerseyite like myself. Now, this is what happens, because of the feminists squawking with their big mouths and influencing neoliberal politics, and then the neoliberals give them their way. They make the laws in their favor. Now you can't ask a woman out on a date that you work with in the office. You can't compliment her on what she's wearing because she can get you fired with all these ridiculous, nitpicky, frivolous sexual harassment lawsuits, which are insane. This is all from the man-hating feminists. And getting back to the other thing, don't feel guilty, men, if your girlfriend or wife is always complaining and says, I'm not happy, I'm not happy. You're not responsible for her happiness. She's responsible for finding her own happiness in herself. Now, the best thing men can do is MGTOW, men going their own way, the red pill lifestyle. Find out what you enjoy, gentlemen. Find out what your hobbies are and interests that really get you enthusiastic, something you have a passion for, and follow it, and keep busy in the things that you enjoy the most. And this is how you develop a life. And now you don't have to be worrying about any girls or what they think. Actually, you shouldn't worry about what other people think in general, male or female. And like I said before, if a woman is really interested in you, they will definitely, without a doubt, let you know. You do not have to chase them. You do not have to hit on them or ask them out. Excuse me while I have a sip of some organic apple cider vinegar from my zero water filter. The cloudy apple cider vinegar with the mother of the vinegar. I have more beer from when I did the show with Ronald J. Thierio. I have the seasonal holiday from Troeg Brewery, the Mad Elf. I have more. I'll probably open up a bottle when Damian Owens comes on. Let's see what time we have. Oh, wow, look at that. Do you see how fast a half hour went by with me yapping? It's time for Damian Owens already. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to have to I'm going to have to save this alpha male's uh, monologue for another time. But I think I covered a lot of information about the hypocrites, the hypocritical feminists. All right, let me bring on Mr. Owens, the great Damian Owens. Oh yeah. Let me see if this other guy will come on, which I highly doubt. But you never know. He might jump aboard. He'll be with us in a second, he says. Okay. All right. Let me. So anyway, 7 lucky bells to keep the evil spirits away. And you are viewing the live stream Progressive Discussions late night special called Alpha Males. You know, when women, especially the younger ones that rely on their looks, when they become parasitic like this, it's not very attractive for a female to be that way. The female personality of being parasitic and being a hypocrite, any kind of a hypocrite, even if it's political, is not a good thing, because it means you're insincere, you're a liar, you're not being true to your convictions and your opinions. If somebody is screwing you over and not being honest with you, don't worry about her leaving you because she's hot looking. If something is really bothering you, say it in a nice way, but express yourself. Express your displeasure about what they're doing or how they're behaving that is inappropriate, and that you are not going to tolerate this kind of crap. You got to understand something. Feminists that that want to get married and have a traditional relationship got to understand something. When there were traditional male-female relationships, there was no girls' night out. That didn't exist. There was no career woman, entrepreneur woman, I am woman, feminist, feminism. No, women did not play the field. They did not have the internet and dating apps. They only were able to meet men in their immediate region. Think about it. And like I said, there was no girls' night out because the parents had them under lock and key, most likely with a damn chastity belt on. So, when a feminist that says, I'm everything, I'm Wonder Woman, like that stupid, what was her name? Helen Reddy? Was it Helen Reddy, the Canadian woman that sang, I am woman? Yeah, they want it all. They want it all. Traditional relationship, children, marriage, the house, the husband, the beta simp husband, the so-called chivalrous gentleman sucker that pays for everything. And they want to be independent. They want to do what they want. They want to come and go as they please. They want girls' night out. They want to run a business. They want to have a career. They have a college degree. They want this. They want that. And they want to be in control. That is the problem. When men allow them to be in control and tell you, I don't like your friends. I don't like your hobbies. I want you to give up that hobby. Oh, you do craft beer reviews? Oh no, that's got to go. I don't approve of that because I'm hot looking and I'm giving you sex. So they think I have the right to tell you what to do and control you. No, that doesn't fly. Because once you start doing that, you won't have a life. You won't have a life at all. You'll have to give up your friends, give up your hobbies, give up your interests. If you like fishing, she'll say, oh, fishing again? No, I want you to hang around me. No, I don't want you. I want you to cuddle and watch chick flicks on Netflix. You're going to go fishing again? You're going to do what? You're going to go out with the guys and shoot pool. Don't allow it to happen. Now, I'm going to bring on my co-host because believe it or not, a half hour has flown by already. Damian Owens is here, and we're going to sink our teeth into capitalism.
Mm-hmm. With some fiery habanero Lay's potato chips.
I know Alex, the beer master, who's here with Johnny Ringo. I know Alex, the beer master, would appreciate the Lay's potato chips. All right.
They're really good, actually.
Yeah. Well, I like the Mexican restaurant home-style tortilla nachos.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
And the blue corn ones, I like especially.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
With good salsa, good chunky, super hot salsa with hunks of tomato and pepper, maybe smoky chipotle in there, and then you got some melted cheese, not like that cheese of your choice, the cheese of your choice. All right, now capitalism, capitalism. There seems to be a delusion going on where many of these flag-waving people in America seem to think that everything that they hear on Fox News or everything they hear from Republicans is accurate. They believe in trickle-down economics, which is really pissle-down economics, because they don't allow it to trickle down, because it simply pools at the top, and the CEO just hoards it all. And if he chooses to drip a little on some sycophant ass-kisser executive, he'll do it. But other than that, it doesn't exist because corporate America doesn't allow it to exist. Then you got outside of jobs. Now, it's totally delusional. It's totally rigged for the top 2%. The 98% get shit from Shinola from capitalism. Now, your take.
Well, let's see here. Where can we begin on capitalism? Well, first of all, capitalism has always been a system based upon inequality. Any kind of equality in capitalism really is antagonistical to not only the elite of capitalism, but also capitalism itself. To sum it up nicely, whoever can die with the most shit wins in capitalism. It's not based on human want or human need. It's based on profit. Under capitalism, the dollar is God, and anybody and everybody will do anything and everything in their power to serve it and to earn it. And all morals, ethics, right out the window, just to have it and to serve it.
Yeah. Their church is the bank, and money is their God, and it is a form of, for people that are religious, it is a form of idolatry, and that's all they care about. It's like profit. It's profit before people and the planet.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, they'd rather make money destroying the planet, the very essence of what we live on, just to make a dollar.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to bust their balls. And speaking of that, whenever I came up with something funny the other day, was when you were going to come up with this new show just to bust some people's balls, I came up with a theme song. Who are you going to call? Ball Busters! In the theme of the Ghostbusters theme.
Who are you going to call? Ball Busters. Yeah, that's right. There's nothing better than getting under the skin of fake, phony, fraud individuals. I just want to say, I said it before actually on the air, that what a wonderful debut show we did late last night for New Age mysticism and healing on the tarot cards, and your explanation of the major arcana, plus the short reading you did, followed and the copper divining rods. It went splendid, and I love that hat with the skull and the olive green hat with the red star in the middle. I love that one too.
Yeah, I've got that one in the bedroom. I didn't feel like wearing that one, babe. Besides the fact it's pretty cold outside. Let's see here. What's the temperature say it is outside right now?
I like it because it's very left wing.
hmm According to my phone, it says it's 40 degrees outside.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Well, here in Tennessee, 40 degrees when you're in the mountains and you get that breeze that blows through the valleys or blows up on the mountaintops, whew, it'll bite you to the bone. So 40 degrees feels a lot colder than what it really is. But back to what I was saying, shoot, I lost my train of thought.
Talking about the delusion of what capitalism provides the masses, and
Oh, yeah.
they believe the lies.
Oh yeah. So I hate to burst their bubble and bust their balls, but we still do live on this planet. I mean, we still live on this because this is our planet.
Mhm.
If we destroy it, we really don't have anywhere else to go at this point. I mean, we don't have the technology to terraform the moon, to terraform Mars, or any other planet for that matter. What we got is what we got to work with.
Well, you can't eat money if the planet Earth is dying. You can't eat money, billionaires out there.
Mm-hmm.
When the shit hits the fan, you can't eat money. Now, these candidates are absolutely hilarious. 99% of them, of the Democrats, are obvious corporatists. They can call themselves moderates, centrists. They're corporatists. They're the corporate whores.
Okay,
Okay. Well.
Pete Buttigieg, it reminds me of a ventriloquist, howdy doody ventriloquist dummy with brown hair. They don't want universal health care. They don't want free public university education.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want Medicare for all, except for Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth Warren is not really embracing democratic socialism. None of them are, except for Bernie. Bernie Sanders is really the only one. But I mean, it's sickening. Amy Klobuchar with that annoying nasal twang voice. She's and then the melodramatic, or she quit. Kamala Harris, she's melodramatic. Cory Booker, he's all emotional. Let me tell you something. He didn't do a damn thing for the city of Newark when he was mayor of Newark. He didn't do anything. Right. He is on the verge of resigning from the campaign.
Well, I hope he does, but
I can't wait to Amy Klobuchar quits because I hate nasal twang people.
Well, I don't honestly consider old Shotgun Joe to really be even a moderate at this point. I mean, if you listen to some of the stuff he really says,
he's right wing.
Yeah, he's a right winger, and the Republicans despise him. You would think the way that Joe acts and thinks and the way that the Republicans act and think, they'd make natural allies, but they don't.
No, and he loves to get behind young females and inhale their scalp.
Creepy Uncle Joe. I think old Shotgun Joe is the equivalent of the Democrats grabbing by the pussy.
Yes. Oh, speaking of.
Okay, Wyatt, come here.
Whatever happened to my wall? My precious wall. Oh, I never got the money for the wall. Walls work. I love walls. I want to build a resort, a 5-star resort and casino by the wall. I want to call it the Wall. Trump's Wall. Yeah, whatever happened? Whatever happened to the wall?
Oh. Right. Absolutely, but just, oh my God. Me and my mom were talking today because we had all went out and we ate at Popeyes, and she had never eaten at Popeyes before, and she loved it.
I love it too.
But in reality, liberalism can be a right-wing or a left-wing ideology, and that's what some people just do not want to acknowledge or really want to discuss. Anyway, let's try to keep it down just a little bit, okay?
Yeah, we're on the air throughout cyberspace.
Okay, but the way that the liberal ideology works is anything and everything goes. So when you have that kind of mentality, it's not just one side. It can also go the other way as well. And people really don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, she's annoying. She's probably paid off by the insurance companies, just like the others. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, but yeah. So uh, these they're obvious where they're coming from.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Obviously, it's in your face. A corporatism, and uh, they can take pot shots during these debates all they want. The proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is pretty sour from where I could see. I mean, look, you got to do what's in your best interest. Now, if you were a if you were Jeff Bezos, if you were uh, the dildo-headed Jeff Bezos, and you were that wealthy, then you might be like a greedy scumbag and worry about not pay, about taxes. You might not want to pay any taxes. You might want no minimum wage so you can pay your workers next to nothing. You want to bring back slavery, but you're not. You're struggling to pay your bills, to make ends meet. You're living paycheck to paycheck, like a lot of Americans, and you have a family to be concerned with, and you know you have to do what's best for you out there, average American, 98%. That's what I'm saying. You got to do what's best for you, and what's best for you is not going to be Republicans. So that's why I don't understand why people that live in shacks in Kentucky continue to vote for the turtle face, the turtle
Right.
head, Mitch.
My mom identifies as independent, but her leanings are more like moderate Republican. So she does not really like Mitch McConnell. She views him as just a big obstructionist.
Make America great, malarkey. Yeah, you see, the thing, what I think is, my take is that the people in the rural areas that keep on voting Republican, and meanwhile, they don't have a pot to piss in. My take is they vote Republican because of their crazy cult, evangelical, religious zealotry. They're zealot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they're obsessed with getting rid of Planned Parenthood and making all forms of abortion illegal. In other words, a fertilized egg to them is a human baby, when it is just a fertilized egg. It's not. It's a potential life, like an acorn is to an oak tree. But
right,
because they're zealots, because they're part of a religious cult, they're fanatics. I think this is why maybe the people in shacks are voting for Mitch McConnell.
Right. Alabama tried something similar to that, and it got shut down really, really quick.
Yeah, I mean, really, even an embryo that breathes like a fish is not quite a person. For you religious nuts, I got news for you. The only time the Bible mentions when life begins is when God gave Adam his first breath.
A long time ago.
That's when life began, according to biblical scripture. It doesn't mention that if a man spills his semen into the toilet bowl, he's murdering his spermatozoa, or yeah, they try to, the zealots try to so you know who did that? There was a female, a politician from a southern state. It was in the news, and she was such a fanatic. She was such an evangelical fanatic. She tried to pass a law. I think it was I don't know if it was like Delaware or the Carolinas, I forgot. But she tried to pass a law about male masturbation murdering sperm. And it was so ridiculous that, the news media mentioned it. Everyone had a good laugh. And actually, she was rather good looking, even though she was a right-wing nut. I would have loved to like pick her up and carry her around like Tarzan and degrade her.
I'm just trying to think of how really could that be enforced.
She was popular. She was the flavor of the month, and then she like what's her name? Uh, um, what's Bachman? She was a real moron up in Minnesota. Is it Barbara
Sounds
Bachman?
about right. Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah. Or Sarah Palin and her daughter Bristol that loves the pistol. They were morons too. How she became a vice presidential running mate is beyond me. But for John McCain, but what happened was she spent hundreds of thousands of John McCain's campaign money for designer clothes and shoes for her and her daughter. That is a fact. But anyway, these are morons that would come out with a statement like that. But this woman was that much of a nut. She was that much of an evangelical religious freak that she wanted to pass a law against men allowing their sperm to die. And these are the freaks that we have. I can't just say in America, but because there is radical Islam out there, but no, they're pretty wacky. I mean, these are the ones that would send all their money to Joel Osteen and Benny Hinn, all these mega church TV evangelists that are laughing all the way to the bank, and they don't realize that the people that pass out, that faint, with crutches in the front row, and the evangelist touches them, they go, oh, they pass out, and then they throw the crutches and start dancing. I'm healed, hallelujah, I'm healed.
That shit is so fake. That shit is so fake.
Yakety God's talking back like Steve Martin in the movie. It's rigged. Those are actors and actresses. Johnny Ringo.
Absolutely.
Johnny Ringo had to say, I think Trump lost his base during Charlottesville. He barely pulled off the Electoral College win, and it will take someone even worse than Hillary to lose. That is order.
Yes and no. I mean, he had a base at first. Charlottesville was the beginning of losing his base, and every day he doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut. He really does not. And yeah, okay, so it's a dumb law, first of all, about that, but how exactly would you enforce it? Have cameras all over your home to see exactly when and where you're doing it, having no privacy.
Yeah,
I mean,
Big Brother having cameras.
Big Brother.
Right.
Knowing me, if someone were to try to pull something like that, I would flash and say, if you want to watch me, here, I'll give you something to look at.
Yeah. Well, you remember what Eric Cartman did on South Park? He took black spray paint and he just sprayed all the camera lenses.
Mm-hmm.
You see him going.
But yeah, getting back to what I was saying, he doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. He thinks that it just comes right out. Doesn't matter if it's intelligent or if it isn't. He thinks, he says. That's partly why he's losing his base, because even those who, were loyal to him are kind of like, I kind of don't know if we can really back this guy now or not. He's gone even a little too far, even for right-wingers, which should tell you something.
Well, he's not the brightest bulb on a Christmas tree by any stretch of the imagination. He's actually, everybody knows he's he's a narcissist and maybe a sociopath, and or maybe some say pathological liar, but maybe he's like crazy like a fox. Maybe he's deliberately lying, and of course he's corrupt as all hell.
Definitely.
Okay, now this is insane. This is probably the most insane thing an evangelical ever tried to do. The bill was created, Jessica, for thank you, Johnny Ringo. Johnny Ringo's a good man. Of Houston. Full abstinence sexual relations, yeah, right. And create a hospital masturbatory assistance registry.
What? What?
7 bells for Johnny Ringo.
If people want to say that there's only liberalism in the left wing, that's right wing liberalism right there.
That's not left. That's right wing all the way.
Well, that just no, actually, that kind of goes one step beyond just regular right wing religious fanaticry. This is more like right wing liberalism right here.
You know, there's a song called "You're Coming to Take Me Away," ha ha, to the funny farm. And that's what these evangelicals should be.
Is that a Blue Oyster Cult song?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah,
they're coming to take it away, haha.
And me and my mom were talking about Donald Trump being impeached. He's going to get impeached. I hate to say it. He's not made any friends with the Democrats. He's not tried anything to, reach across the aisle. So he's already made enemies with one party. So that's 50% of, well, actually, in this case, more than 50% of the House, where most of the action really does happen in Congress is in the House. So now we've got a Democrat-controlled House, but still a Republican-controlled Senate. But it's only a very slim majority in the Senate.
60 or 61 votes to override any filibustering?
I think it's 60, yeah.
60 votes.
So it's very close. All they would need are just a few Republican senators to jump ship, and they've got their majority.
Well,
and
they know he's mentally unstable because he bites the hands that feed him. He throws fellow Republicans under the bus all the time.
I mean, yeah, Mitch McConnell has kind of been the silent loyalist, but he may talk a good talk that he's not going to do anything, but if he wants to remain majority whip in the Senate, the Democrats are going to apply pressure, and like I said, they will only take a few Republican senators to jump ship, and if they put the pressure on him, there will be a Senate trial, and he would probably be tried and convicted. However, if he was to get impeached, I don't think Donald Trump would be the only one that would be in the impeachment and would be tried and convicted. Yes, he would go down, but he would be like the bull in the china shop, that he'd be like, okay, well, if I'm going to go down, people are going to be going down with me. And I know exactly who he would drag through the mud with him: Hillary Clinton and Shotgun Joe.
Yeah. Creepy Uncle Joe, Sleepy Joe. Some of the Republicans, they have an agenda of greed, like we were saying before, profit before people on the planet, and some of them would be willing to keep a lunatic in the White House to secure their agenda. But I think you're right. I agree that he's in pretty hot water, and if he is impeached, then there's the state of New York who has some charges to bring him up on.
But let's take one step back here.
Right.
With Robert Mueller's investigation, although Robert Mueller cannot indict a sitting president, that's not his job. Donald Trump came out and said that he has been exonerated, that Robert Mueller exonerated him. No, if you look back and read the statement, or see the statement that Robert Mueller said, he cannot indict a sitting president, but he has not been exonerated of anything. Just only as a sitting president, he has been exonerated. So if he gets impeached, or if he resigns, or if he doesn't win the election, then Robert Mueller can prosecute him. But I am for the impeachment of Donald Trump. I mean, yes, he is our president. I will honestly say, I tried to find good in Donald Trump. I cannot find any.
I can't
Not
find
at all.
No, he's definitely a loose cannon, and he's definitely out of his mind. Put it in layman's terms.
Mhm.
Okay, what does we have here? To provide fully abstinent encouragement counseling, supervising physicians for masturbatory emissions, and storage for semen. Oh, really?
So basically, it's like a way of, okay, well, if you're going to masturbate, then you're going to inadvertently be a sperm donor.
I like to see him enforce this shit, really. Rudy Giuliani, the lunatic Giuliani. I like when he fights with Chris Cuomo on CNN. Remember every time he has him on?
Oh, yeah, with Chris Cuomo. Oh, yeah.
He's in the Ukraine. Yes, right. What is he doing in the Ukraine if he is no longer Donald Trump's personal attorney?
Well, I mean, here's the primary reason as to why I support the impeachment of Donald Trump. And I have tried to talk to right-wingers and also explain this to Donald Trump supporters in a way they can understand. Okay, so we gotta understand who we're dealing with here. You know, God, the Bible, the guns, America, God is great, America's great, flag-waving yuppies, all that BS. So let me try to put it into perspective in a way they can understand. All right. Can you just imagine, to put into perspective as to what Donald Trump has done here, by having a foreign government intervene with our election process? Can you just imagine if back in 1780s, in the 1790s, when we were forming as a country, and George Washington had gotten elected, and it was time for his second term, and someone who was with George Washington, whether it was one of his political cabinets or someone in his political cabinet, used British influence to spy on a potential political candidate. Do you know exactly what would have happened to that guy? He would have been taken up behind the woodshed and shot for treason.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't chosen for comedic effect, in my opinion, Johnny Ringo. No, he's for him to say that there. He's like a organized crime Don. Donald, the Don. Yeah.
But yes,
That's how he
for
behaved.
what Donald Trump has done, if this were a much different time, especially back when we were forming as a country, when these right-wingers really want to talk about how patriotic they are, he would have been taken up behind the woodshed and shot.
Absolutely.
For doing that. But oh no, it was all for digging up dirt on the evil Democrats. And I'm just thinking, you all are the biggest bunch of fucking idiots I have ever seen, if you honestly want to try to justify that.
Well, Donald Trump only cares about, of course, Donald Trump. I think he's willing to throw the whole planet under the bus for his his well-being, whatever, everything connected to people like Donald Trump is profit motivated, of course, but he is that selfish, and he feels no remorse, so which makes him a partially or full sociopath.
Right, absolutely. And another reason why I do not like Donald Trump and those who support him, they're so quick to point out people who do not like Donald Trump as being triggered, as if there is no legitimate reason to not like him. When in reality, there are quite a few legitimate reasons as to not like Donald Trump. And let's now put it back into a language that these people should understand, but in reality, they probably don't. But just for the sake of arguing devil's advocate, we're going to. Okay, so it's been a while, but we're just going to briefly talk on it. But the bump stock ban that he put his signature on, right. He knew damn good and well what that implicates. Now, we're not going to dive into the whole entire detail. We're just going to brush on it just for the purposes of this discussion.
Summarize it,
Okay, so the bump stock ban is something that the anti-gunners pushed as a result of the Las Vegas mass shooting.
Mhm.
Okay, now a bump stock is only just an accessory to a rifle. Now you can put this on any kind of rifle or any other weapon that fires semi-automatically. And it relies on the recoil energy to make it appear as though the weapon is firing fully automatic, but in reality, it's not. It's not really changing the overall functionality of the weapon. At the end of the day, it's still a semi-automatic weapon that is completely legal for a civilian to own here in the United States. Now, where this makes us a dangerous precedent is if something as simple as a weapon accessory can change a functionality of a weapon, then what's next? A hand? A finger? A person? That's where it sets a dangerous precedent. Now, you would think, the pro-gunners and these right-wingers would be getting highly pissed off at Trump, but they're not. It's like he's got them under this spell, like in a trance, and he's got them to where they've got extreme Stockholm syndrome.
Right.
And I've tried explaining that to them and explained that this is a legitimate reason not to like Donald Trump. And what kind of response do I get? Oh, you're triggered, you're a snowflake, you're unpatriotic, you're un-American, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, I'm not going to fool with you. You're not worth my time. I'm not going to waste any more time. You're just a fucking idiot.
They like to call us libtards, I notice.
But that's not taking a libtard stance. That's taking a position that you would think they would want you to take.
Right, exactly.
But you are, and you're a triggered snowflake. And, when it gets to that point, I just say, you know what? Piss off. You're full of shit. I'm not going to fool anymore with you. But it seems like we have a big case of the pot calling the kettle black. And no SJWs, that's not a racist term. That's a saying here in the South that, you're being hypocritical. It's like, well, if the pot's black and the kettle's black, then that's really not really all that meaningful. But it's also kind of hypocritical. It's like, I'm a pot, I'm black, you're a kettle, you're black, but oh no, I'm white even though I'm black. It's not racist. It's just an old timey term for saying you're a hypocrite.
You know what else is trivial to show how people are walking on eggshells? Before I started the show, I was watching CNN, and you saw it on Alpha Males. The lesbian community is mortified. That was the word they used, mortified. And of course, CNN, couldn't wait to show it. That Hallmark pulled advertisement of two supposedly married lesbian couples embracing or kissing, and they pulled it from their ad, and they're mortified. That's a pretty heavy word. Who cares? I mean,
well, it's just, there's this thing called a TV remote. There's more than just one channel on the TV.
sure.
If you don't like it, you just change the channel.
I keep hearing the Hillary campaign handpicked Trump among the 2016 candidates, propped him up so as well, yeah, Hillary. You think Hillary wants to just jump on in the campaign like the last minute?
I mean, I don't like Hillary Clinton. I mean, my mom does not like Hillary Clinton. My wife does not like Hillary Clinton.
I don't either. She's worse than Nancy Pelosi when it comes to being power hungry.
Yeah, my wife does not like Nancy Pelosi either. Neither does my mom, and neither do I. So,
I don't either. No, she's a corporate whore.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say corporate whore. I think she's been in power for too long, and she's getting old, and I think she's becoming demented. Not necessarily as an evil, but I think we're seeing early stages of dementia with this woman.
She's 80. I think she's 85 years old, and she shakes when she talks. That's why Trump calls her nervous Nancy. She shakes when she talks. She's really. I think you're right. She might have. You notice how she stammers and shakes her head when she talks. Yeah.
When she gets angry, yes, but just normal talking, I've not really seen that.
Yeah, but if she's up in years, why does she have to be, for an old bag, why does she have to be Speaker of the House for the second time? I mean, come on.
Well,
Go to get a beach house in California where she lives.
I'm just trying to think exactly what has Nancy Pelosi done that really has been of any political significance to help out the country? Nothing. I mean, it's kind of like the way Harry Reid was when he was the Democratic majority in the Senate. And in a lot of ways, he acted more like a Republican obstructionist than Republicans themselves.
Yeah. Now that you know who obnoxiously will vote no for impeachment, Lindsey Graham, senator, right? Lindsey Graham of what was it, North or South Carolina?
Yeah, Lindsey Graham is from South Carolina, and to be honest, he should be impeached as well because he had a stake in shutting down the government. I mean, we shut down a government over a fucking meaningless piece of concrete. That now means we've had 3 government shutdowns, 2 of them being Republican, 1 of them being Democrats. And the first time the government was shut down was over us getting universal health care during the early Clinton years. The second time was over Obamacare. Then the third time over a meaningless wall.
Well, you know, Republicans were all for turning people down for pre-existing illnesses and all that. They're listen. Their palms are heavily greased by the insurance companies.
Absolutely.
And big oil and so on and so forth. You know, I mean, now look how far the electric vehicle has come. Not just Tesla either, but first of all, besides infrastructure needing the funding, not the military-industrial complex. Besides the crumbling infrastructure, our public transportation system is made up of dinosaur garbage. Amtrak, and there's no high-speed light rails. There's no, I mean, even China, mainland China has the bullet train.
Yeah, what I've always wondered is oil and gas really all that profitable? Considering the Nazis were able to synthetically make oil during the oil embargo that was placed on them by the international community. So if oil can be synthetically made, shouldn't natural gas and gasoline be equally just as culpable of being synthetically made? And I say yes, it can.
Oh yes, and wait, when I had my other car, my Ford Taurus, I put synthetic oil in it, and it ran much smoother, better mileage, and it only required oil change once every 6,000 miles.
Ooh, 6,000
for synthetic oil. So it's like if they can do that with synthetic oil.
I mean, I'm all for all of the alternative fuels. Diesel, I don't like diesel. It pollutes way much more than regular gasoline, and maintaining a diesel engine is a hassle and a half. I mean, unless you're going to be doing some serious hauling, don't get a diesel. Like if you're going to be hauling like multiple trucks behind you, or you're going to be hauling like lots of tons of product, vehicles, weight, what have you, really that's the only purpose diesel serves now. And the reason why it only serves that purpose is diesel engines may not necessarily have a lot of horsepower, but they've got a lot of torque. But you can tune a gasoline engine to run like a diesel. All you got to do is just modify your torque so you can get more low-end power to run just like a diesel. Now, for hybrid technology, yes, absolutely. I love it. But they made it for squares and greenies. It's like, now it's been taken over by the greenies. It's like, if you drive a Prius, that's a, hello, look at me, I'm a greenest elitist status symbol. That's what a Prius is.
A satire about that? South Park had one episode all about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
instead of smog, it was smug of San Francisco. All the
smug.
smugness.
Yeah, it was smug.
I
Because
mean,
said,
what is supposed to be cool technology has been taken and made into an elitist, greeny status symbol.
instead of something that this planet desperately needs, they
Hmm
they're mocking it. I'm sure Big Oil would is loving this. Johnny Ringo, I'm sorry, but I am a Bernie Sanders person only. I don't like anyone else in the Democratic Party. I hate the DNC. I
Me, I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I can't stand either one of them.
corrupt. See, Bernie is independent, but for some reason he runs as a Democrat because he thinks he's going to somehow reform or save the Democratic Party. It's not going to happen. They're too far gone. They're corrupt. You know what it's like? It's like two macaws, one having red feathers, one having blue feathers. They're both macaws. You see, they're both birds
Right,
of the same species. That's how I
right.
Democrats and Republicans.
Now, some other alternative fuels like a E85. I mean, that's definitely synthetic gasoline, but it's more natural. I mean, it's made from used vegetable oil. And it's also made from corn, sugarcane, renewable resources.
You know who did
They
that?
don't pollute as much.
Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson has a company that does that. They I don't know if he's still doing it. They purchase uh, oil from fast food restaurants, like
Hmm
dirty vegetable oil that they use for the fries, and converting it into fuel.
I mean, I don't like the smell of gasoline or burnt gasoline, but I'd rather smell old dirty French fries than burnt gas. But that's just me, though.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, because you can't. The problem with the ethanol is that it requires a vast amount of plant material to produce, and it would just take up too much farmland produce, whether it be sugarcane or whatever. But you know, it's a good source of natural gas is the fecal matter from pig farms. From
Hmm
what I understand, pigs produce quite a bit,
hmm
and that's an alternative. There's plenty of alternatives to big oil and fossil fuels.
Well, and plus, they can be synthetically made. I mean, if the Nazis were able to make synthetic oil during an oil embargo, then gasoline could just as well be synthetically made.
Yes, I
So
agree.
it just shows big oil or oil and gas really is not all that super profitable in the first place. It can be synthetically made.
You know, when I years and years ago, and I worked for UPS for revenue recovery,
Hmm
and at a very popular the Meadowlands hub, which was huge. There were old electric um, vehicles that pulled like tons of weight behind it, and they on a full charge they would go an entire work shift and at a high speed. I mean, these electric vehicles. I mean, and that was an old model of an
hmm
industrial electric. It was the size of a golf cart, but it was fast and it was pulling tonnage behind it, and
Ooh.
going at a high speed. Now, if that was the technology then, could you imagine now? I mean, it's not. It's not like people originally thought that electric vehicles just won't cut it because they're not powerful enough.
They can cut it.
Yeah.
Now I know the first generation of electric cars, like if you've ever heard of a YouTuber on YouTuber on YouTube, he does reviews of cars. You may have heard of him. His first name is Doug. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but he did a review of an electric car from the 70s. It was called the City Car. And it looked like an upright block of cheese. And I'm just thinking, okay, I understand we're trying to be, environmentally friendly by being electric because we're having the gasoline crisis at that time. But do we have to look more American than what we already are in the process? Looking like a big thing of cheese?
Oh, you mean like a block of Swiss cheese or
Well,
something?
not Swiss cheese. All right. So, you know how sometimes when you get like that triangular block, hey, you got the slant on this side, and then you've got like the right triangle right here.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that.
Like a,
And I'm just thinking to myself, yep, that's one of the most American creations I've seen, and it was a big piece of shit.
Hmm.
Yes, it came out in the 70s during the gasoline crisis. Looked like a thing of cheese, and it was all electric. It was very complex to drive. It had very complex batteries and motors in it, and it didn't go very far on a charge, and its top speed was only like 35 miles an hour.
Hmm.
Now, I mean, granted, for like a little putt around car to get to and from work, if you're now if you're just like going to and from work and you're not too far from work in a city, that might be a viable option. But we live out here in the county, and yeah, Kingsport is 3-4 miles up on 93. And not a lot of places have charging ports for electric vehicles yet, but we do have bicycle lanes. But out here on 93, it's not bicycle friendly. People just fly up and down the highway.
yeah, you'll get you'll get obliterated.
It's 4 lanes, so you got 2 lanes on each side, but there's no bike lane. You could ride your bike on the shoulder, but you run the risk of getting hit.
Yeah. Now, I remember reading about when Nikola Tesla took like a Packard or whatever in the 1930s or 40s and converted it to his original electric vehicle, and that thing flew like a rocket. I heard I read amazing things about it. And now, whether or not the current Tesla company is doing building the vehicles exact to Nikola specifications, I don't know, but the original one, the electric vehicle was, I think the first one came out in the 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
I understand.
First attempt at it, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, during the Industrial Revolution, you had the greed of J.P. Morgan, and I'm sure Big Oil put a stop to that vehicle being mass produced.
Well, to be honest, you would think that they would invest more into electric cars, considering they'd be more profitable because it can be made from renewable energy, whereas oil and gas is non-renewable, and once it's gone for quite a few million years. You would think that'd be more profitable. They'd want to make more money off of it. They'd want to be innovators. Go with the times. It also just goes to show you just how idiotic capitalism can also be.
Oh yeah.
Like when they see potential gold mines, they don't take it.
Yeah, J.P. Morgan was the biggest thorn in the side of Nikola Tesla. He went with the sellout Thomas Edison. That's why we never heard of Nikola Tesla when we were in school. We had Thomas Edison in our history books, and Thomas Edison with his light bulbs that have a short life that burn out, and instead of alternative current, he had his was it DC current?
There's direct current alternating current. Yeah,
alternating current of Tesla. But yeah, he didn't want to go with Tesla because Tesla proved that the atmosphere and the ground of the planet Earth was loaded with free electricity that could supply the world, and he said J.P. Morgan did not want to go with freebies. He did not want to provide the world with free energy, so he went with Thomas Edison, and he tore down his Tesla's tower I think it was in New York State, the first one, and then the
Mhm.
second one was he tried to rebuild it in Colorado. I think Tesla moved somewhere out. I think it was Colorado, and yeah, he had a lie to J.P. Morgan about what he wanted to do with the money that he was asking to borrow, and
Mhm.
this is the money that built the tower to do his experiments, which he proved successful. But because he didn't want to sell it,
Right.
J.P. Morgan tore down the tower and cut the funding, and then of course, for some reason, the United States government did not want to get behind. Now, here, this shows the nature of the United States government. They didn't want to get behind Nikola Tesla, and that proves that there were corporatists in Washington even back then.
But I hate to say it, if you want to make money now, invest in renewable energy. There's a gold mine right there. But there are
Yeah.
just some things you should not make money off of, like healthcare, education, renewable resources, food, water, clothing, shelter. No profit should be made off of that.
The basics of life should not be a profit enterprise. You're right. I agree.
Now, I do believe in competition and trade, but not in necessarily the capitalistic sense. Like, it's one thing to have healthy competition of, okay, who can make the best computer? Who can make the best TV? Who can make the best card? Okay, fine. More power to you. That is definitely healthy competition. But what is unhealthy competition is making money and competing over basic human necessity.
Yeah, like jacking up the price of a drug that saves lives that people depend on just to survive with their illness, and jacking it up, skyrocketing the drug, and price gouging. Price gouging is a real evil thing in capitalism. But like you said, a healthy competition that will bring the price down with a product, plus improve the quality of the product because of all the competitions going on, R&D, round the clock research and development, the engineering. It just gives you a better product at a lower price. That's fine. But like monopoly, they used to say monopolies, but now they embrace monopolies in corporation. Reagan used to talk against monopoly, but he was no angel either because he was anti-union.
Well, it all depends upon how you want to look at unions. I mean, really now, unions really can't do anything. So even if you were to try to form one, what really can a union do now?
Well, they didn't help. They didn't help me when I used to work with seafood, and I was part of a segment of the Teamsters Union. And when someone in the company was trying to screw me over, the union delegate came over, and he came over with a custom-made suit and a Rolex watch and a diamond pinky ring, and I heard he was making 80 grand a year. And all he did was tell jokes and flirt with the girls, and then all of a sudden, he would say to the general store manager, "Hey, give me a call. We'll get together for a barbecue." That doesn't sound like someone who's supposed to be going to bat for you.
No, absolutely not. It's just like now unions are not what they're supposed to be. What they set out to be at first, that was what they were supposed to be, but now it's just they bear no relation to what they are now. It's like the same thing with the minimum wage. The idea of the minimum wage was to give a concession out of capitalism, but it was a necessary concession out of capitalism. The original idea of the minimum wage was for one person to be able to go to work, one person to be able to stay at home and take care of the family while the other one worked. So they could make enough money to support themselves and their family. That was the original idea of the
The
minimum
high
wage.
cost of living you have today.
Now, $7.25 an hour for the federal minimum wage, that's a laughing stock. If they really kept up with the rise of the cost of living all across the United States, as well as inflation, the minimum wage, in its true sense, would be over $21 an hour.
Yes, that's true. It's very true.
It would probably be now, probably about $23, $24 an hour minimum wage. Okay, well, here's the two solutions that you have to this problem. Okay, if you don't want to pay them that amount, then here's the only other viable option you've got. Deflate the dollar. So that way, what money is out there is worth more. So that way, therefore, if you don't want to pay them the wage increase, then they get more buying power with their money.
Mhm.
But no, neither seem like really viable options to people. So,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's like the cost of living and the average salary is the cost of living. Here's the average salary. I mean, some like the New Jersey governor over here, the so-called Democrat that feels your pain, Governor Phil Murphy. He wants to increase. He doesn't want to increase it to $15 an hour like other states have right away. He wants to do it gradually over the course of several years. Now, by time it gets up to $15 an hour, the cost of living would be above that. So it still wouldn't be equal. You know, look, he's a former Wall Street employee. Now, what kind of, and he's very wealthy. So what kind of a Democrat that feels your pain can he be if he was a former Wall Street employee that's rich?
unless you grew up like piss poor, that's about the only other thing I can really think of. You know, what they say of the American dream, you know, they started off poor and they became a success story. Maybe that's the only reason, but if you did honestly feel your pain, that has been long since been forgotten.
Now getting back to unions, how come, like when I was in revenue recovery in UPS, how come the guys, the general workers, every time they would hire new people, the contract every year would get less and less and less beneficial to the workers? So how could they be going to bat for the workers and collecting higher dues if they have to settle for less and less in their contract?
I mean, why should a union have to be a contract? Why can't it just be a group of guys and girls getting together to make sure we don't get screwed over? Why can't it just be something as simple as that? Why do we have to pay for something like that?
Yeah, that's so the delegate can get $100,000 a year, I guess.
Exactly.
But anyway, capitalism is total bullshit, and if you believe it, you're out. You flag wavers are brain cell deficient. That's all. The media is lying to you. Your right-wing representatives are lying to you. They don't care about the 98%, and not even most of the Democrats care about the lower 98%.
No, they really don't.
You know, and oh, by the way, if you don't vote, don't really complain.
Yeah, I hear that argument, but
Just do it anyway.
Well, here's what I say. If you literally go out and elect incompetent, dishonest cocksuckers, you've contributed to the problem.
Well, I'm not voting for the lesser of the two evils anymore.
Me either.
I'm not voting for the if the nominee by the DNC is not the Democratic Socialist, if it's like an Elizabeth Warren or creepy Uncle Joe Biden, I'm writing in Bernie Sanders. I'm not voting for a corporatist. No more. I'm done.
I don't blame you. I mean,
I'm done.
and I can tell you right now, even if Bernie Sanders were to get elected, the Democrats are not going to help him. The
No.
Republicans are not going to help him. You know what he'd have to be like if he honestly were to have gotten elected? He honestly would have to take his case to the American people directly. He would have to say, okay, Congress, you don't want to help me. You just want to be a bunch of obstructionist, incompetent cocksuckers. Then fine. I'll take my case to the American people.
Well, that's where he gets his campaign funding from, not from the fat cats, from regular folks contributing, and he would have to do that. Now, his organization, Our Revolution, they've been extremely successful with electing their people nationwide, like over here in New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the former waitress and bartender, she's out of Our Revolution. The little guy is what they're primarily made up of, not career politicians that were lawyers at one time on the take. So if we can get more, if they can, like the squad, the so-called squad, they're from Our Revolution. So if they can elect more democratic socialists that are considered independents and not part of the Democrat Party, then he stands a chance of having a cooperative House of Representatives or Senate or Senate.
Probably not, because the way the Democrats are and the way the Republicans are, even if Bernie were to get elected, like I said, he would have to take his case to the American people over just any little thing. Like, even if it's something that really needs to be done, the Democrats would probably obstruct, and the Republicans would probably obstruct. Just because, even though Bernie Sanders is a sellout, he was able to be bought off by Hillary Clinton.
Well, he definitely had such a massive momentum in 2016. If he would have ran as an independent and said to the DNC, Wasserman shits, Deborah Wasserman shits, adios, and then get on the ballot as an independent, he stood a very good chance, because that's how many legions of people showed up at his rallies back then. And but he didn't do that. He did what you just said, and that was extremely disappointing.
But I mean, if he can be sold out that easily, if he honestly were to try to stand his ground, but I mean, if Hillary Clinton can buy him off, anybody can.
Yeah, they made him feel guilt. They made him feel. They made him. Well, this is what he said, that it would be taking votes away from Hillary Clinton, which would ensure a Donald Trump victory. Well, guess what? The rest is history. So him campaigning for Hillary Clinton and not running as an independent did not help get her elected, and Donald Trump won anyway. So that whole concept of trying to bring back the Democratic Party of FDR, which I think he had in his mind, that he would save and reform the Democratic Party and bring back FDR's Democratic Party of old. It's not going to happen. They're just too far gone. They're just too corrupt.
Well, let's also take a look back at what the FDR Democrats were like. Yeah, they may have been economically liberal, but socially, they were a bit more, in fact, if anything, they were more conservative than Republicans. And FDR is the one who took rights away from the Japanese during World War II.
And concentration camps. He put Japanese Americans into the concentration camps.
Yeah, so seems like to me they really honestly don't care about rights. They've never cared about rights. The moment those Japanese citizens really needed their rights the most, the American government just came up and took them away. They did have one right, of course. Right this way, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the concentration camps.
Yeah, so which means that a politician is like a prostitute with a good suit except you know what you're getting from the real prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you're getting from the liar for hire.
Right.
So you have the lesser of the two evils in different degrees. You have slightly lesser. You got with democratic socialism way lesser than the two evils, but not ideally yet. And then you have what they have in Scandinavia, which has been socialism that works for decades.
Well, here recently there's been a lot of privatization in Scandinavia, so they're not really all that socialist that what they used to be, or what socialist tendencies they had.
China's not. My friend from China says she has to pay out of pocket for to go to the hospital and the clinic and all this. I mean, and to get treatments. I says, what did they? American capitalism poisoned Chairman Mao's China.
Exactly, it did. But I got into a heated debate with someone at my job. He's a right winger. He said China is communist. I said, "Are you kidding me?"
Not anymore.
I said, "Okay, if we're going to see how communist China is, let's look at a few things here." Okay, under socialism and communism, there's very little privatization, if any privatization at all. More than likely, probably no privatization. Look at how privatized everything is in China. That's not socialist or communist. Do they have universal health care? No. Okay. Do they have universal education? No. Okay. So just because there's some rich billionaires in the Communist Party, that therefore means they're communists? How?
Wow.
If anything, there's this thing called state capitalism. Okay? Just because a government owns property does not mean they're inadvertently socialist. It doesn't matter what system you live under. Theoretically, the government can own property, and that does not mean socialism. Because the state in China and the government in China are essentially one and the same, if the same. And yes, they do own everything, but that does not mean they're socialist and communist. If you look to see how money is made, it's done in a very capitalistic manner. Look at how much wealth inequality and how much of a lack of social safety nets there are in China.
Mm-hmm.
So China, on the socialist index scale, has scored a 0 so far. They are full-blown capitalists. They have way more capitalistic tendencies than what we are.
Man.
And we have free market capitalism, or we're supposed to have free market capitalism in the United States, but they've got state capitalism, and they're doing much, much better in terms of generating wealth. Granted, it's not being distributed correctly, but still, they're doing it in a much more economically viable way as compared to the American free market.
Yeah, see, the only thing is you have to wait on long lines for everything, but that's only because of the population. There's everywhere you go, there's like a long line.
Yeah, they say, oh, that's another indicator they're socialist and communist because you got to wait in line for everything. I mean, have you not been here in our system of capitalism where you've had to wait in line for stuff? I mean, you have to wait in line at a restaurant to get a table. That's not an aspect of socialism or communism.
Motor vehicles.
Yeah, Department of Motor Vehicles, waiting in line at the grocery store to get stuff just to check out. That's not socialism or communism. Or that seems to be their facile argument. Oh, there's a waiting line, therefore socialism and communism.
Well,
as if when you went to the grocery store, there was nothing there to purchase.
The capitalists love to demonize big government, but what I told when Ronald J. Theriot says, I'm right wing, I'm conservative, and I'm all for private enterprise. And I said to him, let me tell you something. I trust big government a hell of a lot more than I would trust any corporate CEO. And I will leave it at that. I would not trust any corporate CEO over big government.
Mm-hmm.
I go with big government. And
Now, I do want to take a jab at Obama because it is rightfully a deserving jab.
Yes.
Here is
Feel
the
free.
here is a huge difference between Donald Trump and Obama. Obama could have lied right to your face and sold you grade A American bullshit, and unless he had you under his spell or under his thumb, he could get you to buy it. Trump cannot. Obama had a very particular way of talking to people and addressing people. And here's how he was able to do it. Instead of talking down to people like Donald Trump does, Obama would try to talk up to you, to try to bring out the best in you, to try to bring out your intelligent side.
Mhm.
And that's how he was able to sell so much grade A American bullshit to the American people. Now, with Trump, he wants you to buy his American grade A bullshit, but he does it completely wrong. He talks down to people, and this is another reason why I do not like Donald Trump. He talks down to you as if you are an infantile child, as if you honestly don't know what is good for you, what is best for you, and you don't know anything. And he talks in a very basic, simplistic language. Like, every sentence he ends with, I'm the best person in the entire world. Nobody makes deals better than me. I'm the best at everything. No one else, just me. You see that guy over there? He's a scumbag because I'm better than him. How exactly are you supposed to really sell what you're trying to sell to the American people when you talk to them that way? And that's the way you're talking to someone. Obviously, he's got some people buying, but how can you get a majority of people to do that when that's your sales pitch?
Boy, very nasty to be around. I mean,
Right.
how with the when he speaks to the media and everything. I mean, well, even in general, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he does talk down to people, and he only does it because he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, because he doesn't really have the credentials between his ears to be better than others.
Mm-hmm.
He's just very. I heard his mother treated him like a king practically. You know, he was like ultra cop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So capitalism since 1776, from what I understand,
Mm-hmm.
there was a book out that my former co-host, who's deceased now, said that only 10% of the American population actually became upwardly mobile
Mm-hmm.
in 1776, which is not a good track record for capitalism.
Oh no, it's not.
You know, and of course, if you don't get a big break from somebody important, you're not going to make it big. All
Mm-hmm.
people that have, this rags to riches bullshit that they've written songs about, that those are people that got big breaks from someone important.
Mm-hmm.
To be lucky, being at the right place at the right time and knowing the right people. But yeah, 10%, it's upwardly
Right.
mobile. Upwardly
Mm-hmm.
mobile.
But getting back to Donald Trump, here's one thing that absolutely kills me about Donald Trump is when he takes to Twitter and he goes on his tirades. If he's letting himself in hot water, he inadvertently tells on himself in his Twitter tirades. Like with this whole entire shit that's been going on with Ukraine, by him getting so worked up, he's told on himself. And I'm just like, if I was his personal lawyer, which I would not, but if I was his personal lawyer, here's what I'd tell old Donnie. I'd say, Donnie, quit taking to Twitter. You're incriminating yourself. You're not helping your case. Let me remind you of your rights. You have your Fifth Amendment right to the right against self-incrimination. Please exercise this, because you're not helping yourself. Because the Democrats and some Republicans get him riled up because they know if they can get him riled up, then they can get what they need to get out of him. And they keep doing it over and over and over again. And he's too stupid to realize this. And that's why what I would tell old Donnie is, please, Donnie, quit taking the Twitter. Keep your mouth shut. And by his actions, he always acts like he's guilty because he tries to justify his actions, or he'll just point blank lie one day. He'll say something one day, then the next day it'll come right out as the complete opposite, and he ends up telling the truth on himself eventually. Yeah. And it kills me every single time. And the Democrats have got this down to a science. All they got to do is get him riled up just the tiniest little bit. And he tells on himself. If he really was not guilty, here's how he could address it. I mean, I know being president of the United States is a very hard and stressful job. And when you got enemies in the House and Senate that are out to get you every single day, there are ways to deal with them and shut them down. And the way he does it is not the right way. Here's what I would do if I were in Trump's position. I would bring in the Senate minority and majority leader. And I'd bring in the House minority and majority leaders. And I would set them down. I would say, okay, fine. Do your investigation. And then once your investigation is done, we'll talk. Whatever questions you have, I will answer. I will testify under oath, and I will disclose anything and everything that I can legally without leaking classified information.
Right, including his taxes.
Okay. Very rational, reasonable response. Okay. Right. Because under U.S. law, you're still technically innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. But that's the way it's supposed to be. So, by doing that, even if you are guilty, that's at least the first step to throwing off your opponents to where, okay, now we gotta get off our incompetent, lazy asses and do some work to get this guy. But now, all they have to do is just sit here and just be like, okay, let's hop on Twitter. What's old Donnie got to say now? And it's like, oh, well, this is something we can use against him. Thanks for your Twitter, Trump.
Well, you know, when he first won the election, he was arguing with some female, I think in her early 20s, on Twitter at like 3 a.m. I mean, I never heard of a president like doing anything like this. But
I mean, I don't care if he wants to take Twitter, fine. But the way he's acting is not how you act on Twitter. That's not how you act on social media. But just that's how he tells on himself. And that's how the Democrats and some Republicans are getting evidence against him. Just by his Twitter tirades.
How come the Secret Service, how come Obama complained that the Secret Service wanted him to refrain from using his BlackBerry when he first got, when he was elected? Oh, by the way, speaking of Obama, when he was elected in, I believe it was 2008,
yeah,
right?
2000. Well, he got elected in 2008, but he took the presidency on January 20th, 2009.
Right. Ralph Nader said that he's an Uncle Tom, and the media was all over Ralph Nader for saying that. But I have a feeling that Ralph Nader was right.
But I mean, even when Obama was getting flack from the Republicans and even some Democrats, he knew how to shut them down very quickly.
Well, he's a constitutional law professor, I believe.
Right. Well, I mean, not even like if we're raising a constitutional issue. It's just, the Republicans being Republicans. He knew how to shut them down. Trump does not know how to shut anybody down. In fact, if anything, he just adds fuel to the fire and just digs his hole deeper. Deeper and deeper and deeper. He does it every day. Every time he opens his mouth, he always does it. Right. It's like he's got verbal diarrhea, and we need to advise the person who gave him the verbal enema to please stop.
Well, they interviewed. There was Howard Stern was being interviewed, and Howard Stern knows Trump for a very long time, and he says Donald Trump loves the idea of winning the presidency, but he does not like the job at all.
Mm-hmm.
He just likes the idea of winning. That's why he kept on saying, I'm a winner, I'm a winner. He got that from Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen, when they roasted him that time, he kept on saying, I'm a winner, I'm a winner. He likes the concept of winning something, but he really doesn't like the job of being a president. And he's an entertainer. He's a real estate tycoon. That's it. He's not a career politician. He's not a lawyer. He's not very bright, of course, and
Right.
He just I think he won based on being able to rile up emotion in all of these people out in these southern and western states, all these red states. He was able to rile them up because he was saying things that they wanted to hear, because they want to scapegoat all their problems on people of color and immigrants. Xenophobia.
Yeah, he's a big xenophobe, but I mean, he does want to bring out the best in people.
Color, immigrants of color, because they never complain about immigrants from Europe. They never say
absolutely, but just
he
I will honestly say, like I said, I've tried looking at the best in him, and I tried to find good in him, but honestly, I can't. But part of the reason why people like him is that he speaks his mind. Well, granted, that's one thing, but speak your mind intelligently.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that. Wyatt said he was hungry, and we're gonna go fix him something here in a moment. But it's one thing to speak your mind. Yes, absolutely. But there's a right way and there's a wrong way to speak your mind. But when you're speaking your mind, you don't just think the first thing you say and then just get it out there.
Yeah.
Take a step back and think about it for a moment. And he can't do that.
Yeah, he can't do that. You're right about that. Is there anybody that can make him something to eat?
Yeah, we will. We're going to get him something.
All right, listen. Because it sounds like you got to go.
Well, at least just for a moment. I mean, there's something we can throw him in the microwave and fix him.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So anyway, that pretty much wraps it up. There's nothing positive about capitalism for the bottom 98% at all.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really think of anything because there's all this competitiveness of capitalism with free enterprise and all this trickle down economics bullshit, and none of it is doing a damn thing for the 98%, and it only benefits the fat cats, and the fat cats are not paying their fair share in taxes. Of course, the middle class, which is Main Street, is carrying all the tax burden. I would give the tax breaks to only the middle class because they are the true consumers. They are the real job producers. They are small businesses, entrepreneurs, Main Street, mom and pop stores, career people with a shingle hanging outside their door, all middle class. The backbone of the American economy is the middle class. And they should get all the tax breaks. They should get all the tax breaks. All right, listen, you're occupado. Listen, it was a great show.
It was a great show. I just want to leave you with one more final thought because I want to leave it on a funny note. So you want to hear something extremely, extremely funny, and I still laugh about it to this day. So when Trump was still candidate Trump,
right,
I got blocked from his Twitter because of a very funny response that I made to one of his tweets. And I don't know if I'm unblocked from his Twitter, but I wish I could have screenshotted this because I didn't know how to take screenshots with my gaming computer and how to take it with my gaming
Oh,
keyboard
you
at the
don't have
time.
a print screen button on your keyboard?
It's labeled as something different. It's in the same spot, but it's called like sys-rq, and that's the print screen button. But I didn't realize that's what it was until later on. But anyway, the funny tweet was, name someone who is more competent than me. Ooh. And in my young 22-year-old mind, I thought of the funniest thing to say, and it got retweeted so many different times that I still to this day will piss myself dying with laughter with what I said. So here is my response. I said, my ass. It knows what its job is to produce shit, and it does it in a very competent manner.
Oh, that's great.
Got a bunch of retweets, lots of hearts to that response, and Twitter just went wild with it to the point where I had to get blocked.
Oh my God! I'm glad you told the story.
Well, in my mind, I was thinking, yes, this is a funny response. I know this is what he's going to want as a response because I know he likes to rile people up and get the shit pot stirring. So I thought, okay, this would get the shit pot stirring.
He's a rabble rouser. Yeah.
Right. But instead, nope, blocked.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, my button says sys-rq also, but it says print screen right above it. Yeah, I just looked at it. It says sys-rq on the bottom, and it has a horizontal line, and it's a print screen. But anyway, you know what the print screen is. Anyway, it's been another, I'd say, overall blockbuster, progressive discussions alpha male show. My number one alpha male quit the alpha male group. I have no, for the second time. I have no idea. So it's just us running the hen house, which is fine.
Yeah.
And anyway, thank you. And folks, thank you to Johnny Ringo and to Alex the Beer Master for stopping by and saying hello. And thank you for your Johnny Ringo's input. And we'll see what comments we get on this pre-recorded and live stream show. So take care, everyone. And if you're a real alpha male, the link is in the description. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Oh, I like when it